We laid with snakes, we ate snakes, we were treated worse than animals, but the worst part, we were bred like cattle. Did you know America once ran human breeding farms, not in secret, but out in the open? Stay with us as we uncover a truth you were never taught in school. Chapter 1. Cotton's Golden Curse. Cotton brought incredible wealth to the American South. After the invention of the cotton gin in the early 1800s, cotton became the backbone of the Southern economy. But this booming business had a hidden, horrifying cost: slavery. As cotton demand soared globally, plantations expanded rapidly. Enslaved people were the engine behind this growth. They picked cotton from sunrise to sunset, worked the fields with bleeding hands, and were treated as tools to keep profits flowing. But for many enslaved women and men, picking cotton was only part of the nightmare. To meet the growing demand for labor without purchasing new slaves, plantation owners turned to a brutal solution: breeding farms. Here, human beings were forced to reproduce, creating new generations of enslaved people who would never taste freedom. Chapter 2. Breeding humans. Breeding farms were not some secret operation hidden away in the dark. They were a planned part of the slavery system, a cruel business strategy used to make more money. Instead of buying more enslaved people, plantation owners forced enslaved women to have as many children as possible. These women had no choice. They were treated like machines, their only purpose being to give birth again and again. The children born in these farms were never seen as children. From the moment they opened their eyes, they were seen as property, something to be sold, traded, or used. Enslavers chose which men and women should breed, often ignoring their age, their relationships, or how they felt. There was no care for their emotions or well-being. Some women were even told false promises like, "If you give birth to 15 babies, we'll set you free." But that promise was always a lie, a cruel trick to keep them trapped in misery. What made things even more heartbreaking was how families were destroyed. Babies were sometimes taken away just days after being born. Mothers cried out, begged, and clung to their children, but it didn't matter. The children were sold to other plantations. For the owners, it was just business. Profit came first. Human feelings didn't matter. One survivor remembered the pain clearly. She said, "We ate crickets. We laid beside snakes. We ate whatever we could find to stay alive. They treated us like animals. But even animals are allowed to keep their babies." The pain wasn't only in the body, it was also deep in the mind. These people lived every day in fear. Fear of losing their children, fear of being beaten, fear of being sold. They felt helpless and hopeless. They were hurt over and over again, not just by whips or hunger, but by being denied love, freedom, and the right to be with their families. This was not just slavery. It was a nightmare that never ended, a life full of fear, broken hearts, and betrayal. Chapter 3. Life inside the nightmare. Living conditions on these farms were barely livable. People were packed into small, dirty wooden cabins, no beds, dirt floors, no sanitation. Disease spread fast, and medical care was nearly non-existent. Food? Scarce and barely edible. Cornmeal, salted pork, sometimes nothing at all. People ate snakes, frogs, birds, anything to survive. Their workdays began before sunrise and ended long after sunset. No rest, no choice, and the punishment for disobedience, whippings, shackles, or worse. But for women, the pain didn't stop after laboring in the fields. They were often raped by their owners. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. One young girl remembered, "They raped me like they did my mama. I laid there in blood. His wife cleaned me up, but it didn't stop." Even 13-year-old girls were forced to bear children. Many died before they ever saw adulthood. And yet, in the face of all this, many still resisted. Chapter 4. Brave Voices in a Silent World. Even in the darkest times, when hope seemed almost impossible, there were brave people who refused to give up. Many enslaved men and women found ways to fight back. Some ran away, some started rebellions, and others told their stories through writing. Each act was a form of resistance, proof that even in chains, the human spirit could not be broken. Take Harriet Jacobs, for example. She was born into slavery and faced terrible abuse from her master. To escape his unwanted advances and protect herself, she made a heartbreaking decision. She hid in her grandmother's attic. That tiny space was so small she couldn't even stand up straight. She lived there for 7 long years, barely able to move, watching her children from a hole in the wall. But she never gave up. Later, after finally escaping to the north, she wrote a powerful book called Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. It told the truth about what enslaved women went through, especially the sexual abuse they faced. Her story shocked many readers and opened their eyes to the horrors of slavery. Then there was Nat Turner, an enslaved preacher who believed God chose him to lead his people to freedom. In 1831, he organized a rebellion in Virginia. Along with a small group of followers, he went from plantation to plantation, fighting back against the people who had kept them in chains. His uprising was crushed, and he was executed. But his bold actions terrified slave owners and made the entire country talk about slavery in a new, more serious way. Some people resisted in quieter but still very brave ways. Ellen and William Craft, an enslaved couple from Georgia, came up with a clever plan to escape. Ellen was light-skinned and could pass for white, so she dressed up as a white man pretending to travel with his slave, her husband William. With courage and luck, they traveled over 1,000 miles to reach freedom in the North. Their story became one of the most famous escape tales of the time. And let's not forget William Wells Brown. He was born into slavery but managed to escape. Instead of running from his past, he used it to bring change. William became the first African American to publish a novel. His books and speeches told the world what life was really like for enslaved people. He talked about the beatings, the hunger, the fear, and the heartbreak, but also the strength and dignity of those who survived it all. He traveled across the country and even to Europe, using his voice as a weapon for justice. All these people went through terrible pain, but they didn't let it destroy them. Instead, they turned their suffering into strength. They stood up, spoke out, and changed the world. Their courage reminds us that even in the darkest of places, light can still shine. And sometimes it shines the brightest through those who have suffered the most. Chapter 5. The shadows still linger. Slavery officially ended over 150 years ago, but its effects never truly left. Today, African American communities still face challenges rooted in that dark past. The wealth gap between white and black families remains wide. Many black families were denied land, money, or opportunities after emancipation. Generational wealth was impossible to build. Job discrimination still exists. Even with equal qualifications, African Americans are less likely to be hired or promoted. The cycle of poverty continues. In education, black schools often receive less funding. Underpaid teachers, larger class sizes, limited resources. It all adds up to fewer chances to succeed. Even healthcare is unequal. Black communities face higher rates of diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Historic medical abuse has built a deep mistrust in the system. Despite this, African Americans continue to shape art, music, politics, and history. From jazz to hip-hop, from Malcolm X to Michelle Obama, the strength born in pain continues to inspire change. Movements like Black Lives Matter aren't just about today, they're about a 400-year legacy. A legacy that began in chains but refuses to remain silent. The story of slavery's breeding farms is not just a chapter from the past, it's a mirror reflecting today. These weren't isolated crimes, they were systematic, organized cruelty. Generations of people were born, lived, and died inside a system designed to strip them of their humanity. But what they never lost was their spirit. So why should we still talk about this? Because history ignored is history repeated. Because silence helps injustice survive. Let us honor those who suffered, not with pity, but with truth, with awareness, and with a commitment to never allow such cruelty again. If you learned something new today, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And let's talk. What part of this story shocked you the most? Comment below. Let's make sure their voices are never forgotten.